And we have Bernhard Suhm now talking about big data versus big insight, a case study from call center optimization. Thanks, Bernhard.
Thank you. Good morning. Well, let me just explain my background. So I work for Raytheon BBN Technologies, and well, many of you will associate Raytheon with a defense contractor and Patriot missile maybe. But I work for BBN Technologies, which has been acquired by Raytheon 4 years ago and has traditionally been a company who provides exclusively government-funded research since the 1950s. In fact, the first project was designing the acoustics for the UN building in New York City. And well, our work, or the work I do, is more based on what began in the 70s, which is research on automatic speech recognition. And BBN has the largest government-funded research group for speech recognition. I work in the call center analytics group and lead the professional services team there. And we service Fortune 500 companies and their call centers specifically with a cloud-based analytics solution that allows them to capture inbound customer service calls and mine them for insights. All right, so much for the background. So my talk may appear somewhat as an antithesis to the last speaker who stated, well, there is no software, or more importantly, everything is going to be big data, is kind of what he implied. I actually have a bridge to that, but I'll stay with my thesis here. So let me just ask you, to all of you, what's more important, big data or good big insight? Who is for insight? All right. Well, then I'm somewhat preaching to the choir. Initially, I was afraid I might be driven out of this room as a heretic, because I'm not going to be primarily about big data, but about drawing big insight from data, be it large or small. To get to good insight, well, with data-driven analytics, well, analytics about data, so you need good metrics. I assume all of you who venture out to try, analyze something, you have some metric and you thought about it. The other critical element is root cause, ability to drill to root cause. And I'll talk about how you can accomplish that, at least in the context of our call center optimization work. I'll give a little background so you know what I'm talking about. Then present to you our quantitative approach to optimizing inbound customer service and how we get to root cause by analyzing end-to-end experiences that covers everything from start to finish. I say that's critical to have deep insights, a process from start to finish, not little pieces here and there. Those are hard to connect. All right. Well, just to amplify that point one more time, I'm still new to the big data community, I must admit. But sort of I've subscribed to different news streams, and they talk about the 3 V's of big data, which is volume. If it doesn't fit on your laptop, it may be big data. Variety, if it's different types of data that you have to ingest. And then velocity, if you get so much data that you cannot just set it aside and then deal with it when you just get to it, but you need to keep on top of it, otherwise it keeps accumulating. Though I say the 4th one, value, is the most important one. That's what we are ultimately after. Since there's always an alternative to big data, which is sampling. It can always reduce your humongous mountain of data to a manageable small pile of data. So when do you really need the full data set? Well, here are some examples. If you want to intervene with every customer, and that's what's starting out there in the commercial world, that they want to be proactive. I just experienced it. I traveled to Mexico and used my ATM card there. And then a week later, suddenly our cafeteria started rejecting my card, and I was wondering, what's going on? So I called the bank, and they noticed some suspicious activity, and they proactively lock down my card. So that's intervention with every customer. You need to collect all those ATM transactions and then find all those that are suspicious to do this. Then there's also legal mandates, and that plays heavily into what I'll talk about here as one of my case studies in healthcare, but also in the financial world. There's a legal mandate to capture, in the call center specifically, to record all those calls so they can prove their advisor didn't do something that's illegal when push comes to shove. Or we had a customer a while ago, a utility, who was concerned about a case where some homes blew up, and they wanted to prove that they said something or something wasn't said on the call. So they approached us to find those calls among their pile of recorded calls. Now, when can you make do with a sample? Well, I'll say everything else, unless you really need the big data. And at least in my world of call center process optimization, that's almost always. Though a lot of our competitors, they go out there and have sort of sold the industry, sadly, that everybody needs to record 100% of the inbound calls, which is really a huge endeavor. All right, so let's talk about the call center environment, just to give you a quick one-on-one. So up here, that's you calling United or Bank of America or whoever. And then through the central office, it gets routed to the public switch network. And then here, well, normally if you call your friend, that's another phone, that's a different home. Now with a company, then you have something called a private branch exchange that then can distribute the call to different places. And one is here, well, excuse me the little jargon, IVR stands for interactive voice response. Those are the dreaded menu systems that you typically #0 out of them, or you say agent right away if you're so inclined. Though I always argue there is a happy medium. If you have a routine inquiry, it may pay just to play, and the system is not terribly designed. It pays to play along. You may actually get your answer, your question answers faster than waiting in queue for an agent. So that's your IVR. And then there is some backend system that connected to the agent if your call proceeds to an agent. Now, where do we have data? Well, these various systems have their logs, and there is some data there. And then here's the big guy. And I'll say in a minute, why big? Because the other ones are all, if you have 1 million inbound calls, those are per call kilobytes of data. So that's a gigabyte. Whereas call recording, you're looking about a meg per call for high quality audio, or a terabyte for 1 million calls. And just to visualize that, so that means in the order of 1,000 days of audio per 100 meg calls, per million calls, sorry. So now if you want to query that or run some algorithm on it, think about that. So even if it's 10 times real time, it's 100 days. To break that down into minutes of response time, you can do the math. You need, that's a big data problem right there. And well, despite all my speech, last year we got a big data project because we were contracted by the federal government to record all of the inbound calls to the Obamacare call center. And there, well, just to show you the architecture, well, this is what I had prior, that's essentially that. And here we put our system in the loop. So we put us in the loop passively and start recording. And then we send that audio through a pipeline that applies some signal processing to extract metadata like, did you enter a phone number? Did you hear some useful information? Did we hear a transfer prompt? Were you waiting in queue? All that, and that then gets fed into a database. Whereas the audio gets stored, and it's the first big boy here. As I said, the audio recording, that's big data. So we had a petabyte server there to capture all these calls because we were planning to capture 70 million calls in the first year of Obamacare. And then, well, they wanted to access those recordings. The use case with the utility, or similarly, they had senators or other people call in, and then they wanted to find those calls, what was really said. So we offered them speech analytics on 20%, not 100% of the recorded calls. We put them through the large vocabulary speech recognizer, got it tokenized, indexed, and then we needed a big boy Oracle Exadata to have fast response time to that. And then we have, well, a web application to access all that. And then the analysts through the internet anywhere can access that data. I would have demonstrated that to you, but I was unfortunately unable to connect to the internet. So, but I have canned charts, so we can look at that. All right, well, I already said a lot about that, so let me keep going. Well, they were so they really started thinking in serious about this at the beginning of 2013, and they needed to be live in October. So, well, everybody knows about the website and what a fiasco that was. We were on the call center side. The backup, that's what you called if you sat at the spinning thing and you couldn't file your enrollment form. Then you would call, and that's what we recorded. But that was a big challenge too, to stand up call centers, train 10,000 agents to handle all those calls. So, well, to deploy recording of all those calls on those sites, that was a challenge. So they chose us as a cloud-based solution. I think I said basically all of that. So, well, let me see some more. Okay. Yeah. Well, here's now some data if it comes up. Why doesn't it advance? Let me try here. Whoa. All right. Okay, let's keep going here. All right, so this is an example for, well, when you have a pile of data and you just look for something interesting, a little example. So, well, here is a chart of calls we recorded, and you see they are from February, March, and April, and it's the number of calls. And you see the axis here, 1 million, 2 million, 3 million. So what's going on here? Anyone offer here a quick explanation? Exactly, it was the deadline at the end of March, and everybody started calling like crazy. So then, but what was happening underneath? So here we apply some of our more simple analytics to show how long these calls take. And you can see here, well, you can see especially this color here, and that's the 2 to 4 minutes, plus the purple got a lot bigger. So short calls got a lot more. And it piled up here in the last 2 weeks of March, just as the deadline was looming. So, well, the CMS couldn't just hire 3 times as many agents and train them just for this big spike. They had the same number of agents. So what they did is they turned away the vast majority of calls. And they you had a lottery. So then I think in the extreme case, 1 out of 10 calls only was really reached an agent. Everybody else got a message, you can call back within the next 2 weeks. So they extended the deadline another 2 weeks. And that's why you have still a lot of traffic here. That's when it all caught up. And really, the spike was even more. This is the daily view. So you can see on the last day of the deadline, there were 1.6 million calls on just that one day, and 2/3 of them, or well, actually 90% of them got all the message, call back later. All right, let's get to call center optimization. So now it gets deeper into the data. Here we were just sort of scratching the surface. So just to give you a little background in the call center, well, the cost is driven by agent labor. So if you want to run your call center more efficiently, you need to worry about agent labor. That's the takeaway here. The second thing is, well, our methodology focuses on effort, and more of the industry jumps on that bandwagon. And it goes back to some research that was published in the Harvard Business Review 4 years ago. And most everybody out there does CSAT, that stands for surveys. Those are all the emails you got now after you do almost anything. I'm just waiting for, after a visit to the bathroom, you get a solicitation for a survey. That's that, customer satisfaction. They ask you how nice or how good was this experience. And that's, well, it's down here, so it's not bad. That's what almost everybody does. But then a couple years ago, they tweaked the the question, and they asked, would you recommend me over my competitors? That's Net Promoter Score. That's what NPS stands for. But then effort really is an even better predictor, since here on the axis we show predictive power for increased spends or repurchase. So you want to be up here in this quadrant. So effort really predicts whether you continue to do business with the company. So vice versa, if the company wants you to spend more or do more business, they better start reducing the effort you spend. And well, the other thing is effort, if you reduce that, from an operational side, you also save cost, because waiting 10 minutes, half an hour on the phone, that all costs some. The clock ticks. All right, well, how do you measure effort? Well, now we get into our system. So, and we've grouped them in 5 groupings. We don't have to go through that, but, and this is a representation of the waveform that we capture. On top is the call center, on the bottom is the caller. So you see here's an automated system. This person is trying to make a payment. You see the spikes of DTMF, the account number entry, and then here a long balance readout, and then a short queue time, a short conversation with the first agent. We'll listen to this call later, but I have to speed up to get there. So that, if you can't connect or you get a message, please call back later in the next 14 days, like with Obamacare, that's increasing effort. Or if you have to enter, well, if you have to try 3 times to enter account number, like this caller had to, then you increase effort. If the caller mentions, oh, I've called you 2 weeks ago and it's still not fixed, that's an indicator of additional effort. We get that with speech analytics. We pick out these words that indicate you've called before. Or if you get transferred, of course, that increases effort. Well, queue wait times and all that, of course, is effort. And then that's still the pet peeve of everybody. You just entered your account number. What does the agent do first thing? What is your account number? It's driving you banana. And then ultimately, you get so frustrated that you might verbalize the frustration. And we can pick that out with speech analytics too. So then we combine, well, there's all these 22 metrics in these 5 categories. And we average per call and then do that per 100 calls. So we don't have to deal with fractions. And well, the good thing is this is all objective, repeatable. We don't have to send out, and little effort. We don't have to send out a survey to ask you about your experience. We just measure it on the call. And nobody gives a judgment, and it's not biased because, well, guess who answers those surveys? You either don't have too much time on your hands or you're frustrated, so it's a biased sample. And, well, at least in our system, you have the full recording connected to it from start to finish, everything. I really need to speed up here. So then this is our score. This is like playing golf. You want the score to be low since high score means high effort. I'll leave it at that. Here I'm just showing some, then you can track that with different companies. Here are some telcos. This one is high effort. This wireless company, a lot less effort. Here's a good consumer electronics company. Here's a bad, cheap one. You pay somewhere. It's either by price or by effort in dealing with the company. All right, so now back to this index. How do we get actionable improvements? Well, each of these metrics is connected with live calls that we can drill down to and then understand in more detail what's going on. I was going to do that with a call that I found by looking at calls that have many retries. So this is an experience you might have had, and well, this is captured in...
Thank you for calling, sir. My name is Mark. Can I please have your account number?
Oh, hi. I was trying to pay automatically. I don't know why I didn't get through. Do you charge me for... Are you going to charge me now, a fee? No.
For a check by phone?
Yeah, if
No.
With the customer service, no? Oh, okay, thank you.
No. Mm-hmm.
Okay, the number is 80.
So this felt a little abrupt, and it was abrupt. This person just wants to make a payment. She's already ready to make that payment, but then the agent just sends her away. Now, this is how many call centers manage how they deliver service. They have this piece, and they might ding this person for not telling the caller that she's about to be transferred. But how do you improve this? Well, in our system, we have really what's happening end to end. So here is the next agent.
Thank you for calling Star. This is Beth. How can I help you?
Oh, hi, good afternoon, Beth. I would like to make a payment.
Okay, all payments are done through two different automated systems. We have one for checks and one for credit cards. Which would you prefer I transfer you to?
Oh, I was with the automatic system. I didn't get through. Yeah, I don't know why, you know.
All right, well, I'd have to put you back through and you could try it again.
Do you mind if I pay with you now?
I don't have the capability of taking those payments any longer. We haven't been able to do that for a while now.
Oh, so it has to be automatic, huh?
It has to be automatic.
Oh, if I don't get through, I don't know. I don't want you to, you know, because I made a payment plan, you know.
Oh, okay. Well, I can transfer you over to the credit department. They might be able to take the payment for you.
Oh, okay.
And if you have a payment plan.
Yeah, okay.
Okay, let me try transferring you over there. Do you want to write down their direct number for the future?
I hear some groaning here with experience she's going through. Earlier, well, she was telling the agent, oh, I already tried the automated system. So the agent was about to send her back in the automated system. She's pleading, no, I tried that. Now, again, many call centers just see that. Here you have a clear clue something is wrong with the automated system, but you cannot act on it yet. And similarly, with big data, you might see a problem here in the process, but then you cannot expand what is really the root cause. What can you do to improve the process? I'm not going to play the rest. Instead, I'll just explain it for the sake of time. So here's the IVR experience. And essentially, this person here had 3 attempts to enter the account number, 2, and she entered it twice, exactly the same, was stumped. Then she timed out here, and then she had an idea. What was going on is, and you may see that in your utility bills, your account number, there's like the number of digits off, and then more digits. And the system was expecting the second set, not the first set, and she kept trying to enter the whole set. And then she left off the first 3 digits, and that was the key to success. So here, well, really being able to drill down, well, have the context and drill down further, exactly see what's going on. You don't see it here in the chart. In our system, you will see that. We are able to infer an improvement, namely either have the IVR accept both the full set as well as with the 3 drop off, or better yet, get your process people, your billing people together with the IVR people and have them agree on which number you are asking the customers to provide. All right, and then well, there was another transfer, so, but I'm going to skip that in the interest of time. So here we saw how from just data like that, with having the end-to-end experience connected to it, you can get to possible actionable improvements. And well, we saw the transfer, I'm not going to get into that. You saw the person ask for ID again. Here's another quick example, transfers. You see them bob up and down a little bit. There are some spikes, so what's going on? Well, if you can drill down to the actual experience, you can listen and start to form a hypothesis, and then with the analytics, extrapolate that hypothesis. So what's going on here is this utility, this was from a utility, actually here the local utility, and they partner with a third party. Whenever you move service or ask for a new service, after they took all the information to get you set up with the utility, with the gas or electric, they transfer you to this third party to then upsell you on cable and other things. Makes sense. I mean, if you're moving, you probably want to reconnect all those services. So once you listen to calls, you start hearing that, and now we see here, well, these spikes are in August and in December, And if we overlay some analytics that shows us where calls get transferred to, you see the space transfer rate is the same, and this is the transfer to the third party. That's the one that drives these spikes. Okay, I'll skip right over this and arrive at my conclusion. So, well, as I freely admit, this wasn't primarily about handling large sets of data. It was about how you can derive big insight. And the key for doing so is having good metrics. In our case, with call centers, effort drives both efficiency as well as improves the call experience and increases your incremental revenue from the company viewpoint. But it's critical to have access to the end-to-end experience, to be able to piece together different parts so you can get to root cause. So I hope you walk away today, before you set out to do a big data project, think hard whether you can do the same, or sometimes even more, by analyzing a sample. And here's my bridge to the previous speaker. Well, if you deal with big data sets, to get to the sample, you first need to collect the whole set, and then you need to sample it. So at the very least, you need the big data technique sometimes to get to your sample that you drill into. And now I'm available for some questions. Yes?
I'm just curious to know if this is proprietary normally or can you sell this to political campaigns? This information. Think of the influence it would have of that many unhappy people with the health system, for example.
Well, more were unhappy about the website being gone, so it was just one day and then they could recover. Well, they're unhappy about many things. not just caused by federal healthcare. Other questions? Yes?
I'm wondering if it would make more sense for the company just to hire a supervisor, other supervisors to take care of the problem calls rather than hiring a company and taking all the data from all this analysis. I mean, just hire somebody to troubleshoot on the spot.
But how do you get to the
tester?
How do you get to those problem things? Well, that's how call centers are run. If they have a difficult call, some companies, they transfer you proactively to the supervisor.
Right.
But then if you try to improve things, other than this mass effort of having one supervisor for every 10 agents, and that supervisor only follows policy. If you want to improve the policy, like with this company who prohibited their agents from taking payments, and thus caused pain to callers like this, who tried, the automated system just couldn't do it. So to get to such process improvements, we have to look beyond a small population of agents. Instead, take a sample from the total call population, and that's where you need the analytics system.
That's what the supervisors should be reporting up somehow. That they're having exactly this problem, right? That the system isn't taking the right numbers. That should be reported up somehow.
Well, but I bet you that caller couldn't have described the problem to the supervisor, even if she wanted to. Then you see it to analyze it. All right.
Okay, I think
We can move on.
thank you. We can take more questions in the break. Oh,
Take my
there's
badge down here. Sorry.
first something for you.
On the behalf of Academy of Science Engineering, we want to acknowledge and appreciate today's keynote speaker, Dr. Bernhard Suhm from BBN Technology. I request Dr. Justin Jan to give you this certificate.
Oops. Oh no.